Good morning, people. Good to be with you today. We're at the end of the chapter 15 of the book of Mark. We have one more chapter to go to complete our journey through this beautiful, beautiful book of the life of Jesus as through the words of Peter, his disciple, written by the scribe Mark. But we come to an incredibly interesting time. We spoke the other day about the fact that that centurion, the centurion who was overseeing the death of Jesus, the centurion who had seen many people die this way. Centurion, he was just doing his job. But when he saw Jesus die and the way that Jesus died, and he heard the things that Jesus said on the cross, his life was totally changed because he saw Jesus die. And he must have thought to himself, I've never seen anybody die like this. I've never seen anybody die with beautiful words of forgiveness on his lips. I've never seen anybody die with compassion for the bloke dying next door to him. This man declared Jesus to be the Son of God because he witnessed all of that in the compactness of the death of Jesus. Now in chapter 15, he's one life that was changed for that reason. There is another one. This guy, his name was Joseph, and he came from a place called Arimathea. Let me just read to you just a very quick synopsis of what Joseph does. Verse 42, it was preparation day. That is the day before the Sabbath. So as evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent member of the council, who was himself waiting for the kingdom of God, went boldly to Pilate, and he asked for Jesus's body. One of the other accounts talks about him as being like a secret disciple, someone who loved the voice of Jesus, who responded to the teaching of Jesus, but would never come out of hiding, probably because he was a high-powered guy and he had a high job in the council. And he thought, well, let me just follow Jesus, as it were, from a distance. He wasn't unlike many of the people of that time. But he too witnessed the death of Jesus. And in seeing Jesus die, boldness came to him. The first guy, the centurion, salvation came to him when he saw Jesus die. But when Joseph stood at a distance and he watched Jesus, the one who he had heard so much about, the one who he secretly believed in, boldness came to him. Two changed lives in the story for the same reason. They saw Jesus die. We've spoken about the centurion, but I wonder what changed Joseph to suddenly come from being a secret disciple and hiding behind closed doors and listening to Jesus from a distance. I wonder what it was that made him come out of hiding. I wonder what it was that made him take that step across the line to be able to say to people, not only do I like him, do I believe in him, but I now am a follower of Jesus. That's a big line that people have to cross. And I can remember that line as in the military, having to cross that line of saying, well, I can't do that because I'm a believer, and meeting the jeers and the rallying of the crowd. And I remember having to have that boldness of different places where I've been. And mine was tiny compared to the responsibility that some people have of being able to step across that line and saying, this far and no further, simply because I'm a believer in Jesus. Where does boldness like that come from? Well, I wonder when Joseph looked at Jesus and he thought to himself, man, I have a responsibility. This could have been a reason. I have a responsibility to step across the line into the area of boldness simply because I believe in him, simply because I believe in his teaching. And I have a responsibility because I can see now that he's doing that for me. Surely I should be able to do this for him. And so he stepped across the line and he went to Pilate and said, can I have the body of Jesus? I'm a wealthy man. I have a tomb. I'll put Jesus' body in the tomb. And Pilate gave him permission to do that. Could it be his responsibility? Or could it have been his growing love for Jesus as he got closer and closer? First of all, he watched Jesus from a distance, Beatitudes on the side of the hill, healing Lazarus. Maybe, just maybe, he was a follower of Jesus from coming closer to Jesus by way of progression. And this was the final thing when he saw Jesus die. He said, I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I now know that he is who he says he is. And man, I'm ready to step across the line. Maybe that was his thing. Maybe it was just a sense of wow, I can help at this particular time. And I need to take that step in order to get away from the mediocrity of people just thinking that I'm a nice guy and I'm now a follower of Jesus. We all have excuses, don't we, for not stepping across that line into the area of boldness. I wonder what yours is. I certainly have a whole bunch of them, where there's been times when I've heard and I thought, no, let me just backtrack here. I don't really need to do this thing. Let me save my Christian testimony for church. Man, I've got to tell you, in the big wide world out there, there's a need for bold Christians. And I wonder if the reason for our boldness is we haven't come to terms with the death of Jesus. When we see Jesus die and we acknowledge the purpose of his death, something happens inside my heart where I say, if he did that for me and he died for me, then surely I should die for him. Surely my ego should die. Surely my agenda should die. Surely my vision should die because of what Jesus has done for me. Surely that's a good response to the death of Christ. Maybe it's a sense of gratitude to say, wow, after Jesus has done this for me, my gratitude is just totally overwhelming. He's taken me out of this messed up world and he's made something of my life. He's forgiven my sin and I'm on my way to heaven. For goodness sake, the least I can do is step out in boldness, make some strong declarations, make a strong stand, is what Joseph did. We respect Joseph for doing that for whatever reason he did. He just did the right thing. People, what is your right thing today? And for what reason would you do the right thing? Think about that today. The world is not needing, the church of the faith. The kingdom of God doesn't need passive believers. The kingdom of God is needing people who will nail their colors to the master and say, this is who I am. This is what I don't do. This is what I do. And this is the reason why. I hope that in your workplace, in your school, in your old age home, in your wherever you are, that you will make that stand, whether it be progressive or as an event. Just do it, people. It'll make such a difference in your life. I just know it will. Have a fantastic day. Cheers, guys. Bye.